Hello and welcome to this SlipStream broadcast powered by Alpha Live from Rowra, Cumbria Kart Club for the opening weekend of the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship. For the first time, we will be streaming the finals on a Saturday from Super 1. Usually it's just the even-numbered rounds on the Sunday. We'll be bringing you all of the finals live this afternoon before a full Alpha Live production tomorrow for all of the heats and the finals. Final race or final heat of the day is currently taking place before we head to final number one, which will be our Might Ease, the youngest of our drivers. Similar age to our Coma C50 drivers as well. And as you can see here at Rowra, the track conditions are very, very challenging for our drivers. It has been like this for most of the weekend, so they are very well versed. This hasn't taken them by surprise. And with the O-Plate meeting here last weekend as well, in similar conditions, most of these drivers are relishing these conditions. As I say, Mighty will be the first final of the day. For those of you that are joining Super 1 for the first time, and for those that are returning that may not remember, I am David Sullivan. I was here all of last season, and I'll be here for 5 of 6 rounds this year as well. I'll be missing GYG, which is round number 2, but I'll be back for Fullbeck, Clay Pigeon, Wilton, and the season finale, the championship weekend at Shennington later in the year. So, as I say, we're here at Rowra Cumbria Kart Club, a favourite of many of our drivers. And it gives me great pleasure as well to welcome our new title sponsors. As I mentioned in the introduction, HWE BIM Services becoming the title sponsor of the Super 1 Championship for 2026. Checkered flag is out for the final heat, was senior Rotax. It's been another win, this time in commanding fashion by Ronnie Smith. He's been the one to beat in senior Rotax all day. Pole position this morning and heat victory, although in tighter circumstances in heat number 1. In heat 2 he's driven off into the distance. In fact, it's the same top 3 in the same order that they qualified in as well, in the same order they started in top 5, all as they were in senior Rotax. So, as the seniors make their way off, I think we will have one collection of the cars. It looks like Max Lorna Bennett lost the rear wheel in the opening few laps of the race. His car's going to be collected from the outside of the chicane, but there is an exit gate there, so it shouldn't take too long to get that cart recovered. And so we will be heading towards the first final in a few moments' time. Thank you to those of you that have joined, the subscribers to the SlipStream platform. Good afternoon to Man1 CFN, who says hi, and the same for Dirk1285 as well, saying hi to everybody. Thank you for getting in touch via the live chat, and hopefully you'll enjoy this afternoon's racing here from Cumbria Kart Club. As you can see, one of the most picturesque circuits in the country, set inside the remains of an old quarry. So, stone removed, tarmac laid down, as our Might Ease look to head out onto the circuit then for the first final of the day. Keep an eye out for that front row, in particular the O-plate of Luca Pede. He's going to be the one to beat then, as we head towards our first final here. It's going to be Mighty, and they head out onto the circuit to Griddle. So straight out and no warming up lap then, or no rolling lap for our Mighties. It will be Luca Pede and Max Tetlow will be on the front row. They're going to be the ones to watch, in particular Luca Pede. As I mentioned, won the O-plate here last weekend. He's going to be, for me, not just this weekend, but the one to beat into the season. He comes in as the highest returning driver. So it's Pede and Tetlow on the front row, Deere and Castleman on the second row, as we are away and racing already. Good start by the 26 of EJ Deere. He moves himself up into third place. It's where he started, but he did fall back slightly at the start, but then seems to get a second phase of power, and he moves into that third place. So heading up towards the first of two switchback hairpins. This is McRae's, and we've got a few drivers going into the back of each other, but so far, and they're being told to slow down, but this is not a rolling up lap, to the best of my knowledge. We're away and racing here. The time has started in the top left-hand corner, and not sure whether the marshal thought, as with all the previous classes, it's going to be a rolling up lap and then gridding, but unless I'm mistaken, and they stop when they come round to the start line, but I think we're racing here with Luca Pede and Max Tetlow trying to disappear off into the distance. Good move down the inside there by the 21 of Artin Odula in the Ayrton Senna replica helmet, and not only has he made the move, he's managed to start to pull away from Jensen Paris in the 55. Down the hill into the right-hander of St John's for the first time, round the left of Sunny Bend and heading up towards Paddock. And it doesn't look like there's anybody waiting for them, so at the end of lap number 1, as they come up and round Paddock Bend for the first time, Peeve with a gap of 7/10 of a second to Max Tetlow, EJ Deera, Aidan Castleman with Ray Verdi, Teddy Veselovsky and Eli Parkhouse. Artin Odula up into 8th place, which has been a good start from a driver that started in P10. Oliver Reynolds is up to 9th, but has a contact warning at the end of lap number 1. He moves up from 11th, with Joshua Chung completing your top 10. Paris, Smith, Watkins, Jack Voss in his debut season, with Astro Matthews and Dax Miller completing your Might E standings. We've got one round in the middle of the corner down at Iredale's, the number 24. Eli Parkhouse spins himself out of 7th place. So he battles down that back straight, trying to keep Joshua Chung, who was in 10th place. So a 2-place drop then, by the look of things, by Parkhouse, as Paris and Smith go side by side. Smith with a robust move down the inside. They were side pod to side pod, neither of them wishing to relent into that corner. The front of the pack start to spread out. The gap was 7/10. We'll wait for them to cross the line, keeping on the top left-hand corner. Another 2/10 for Luca Pede. This is your battle for 6th place now, with Teddy Veselovsky in front of Ray Verdi. Verdi then being pursued by Odula, with Oliver Reynolds and Parkhouse as well. Joshua Chung not too far off the back there. He is in the background in the sky blue machine. The first of the two switchbacks seems to have a little bit more grip. The corner they're coming up to now, Iredale's, is the slippier of the two. And it's not generally on the way in either. We've seen a lot of drivers throughout the day where I've been watching trackside have been struggling in the mid to the second part of the corner. 5.5 minutes to go as Odula goes slightly wide. Does find a little bit of grip on exit, but then as they head out of the Stuart S's, didn't quite get the drive that he was hoping for, and they'll almost fan out to be 3 wide down the hill into St John's. Fast right-hander, then hard onto the brakes for the left-hander of Sunny Bend. And this train of 5 being led by the number 20 of Ray Verdi, all the way down to Joshua Chung. A bit of a change in the middle of that pack as Eli Parkhouse moves up in front of Oliver Reynolds and back up into 8th place. He wants to try and get back into at least that 7th place. But to be fair to all of them, they do appear to be closing in ever so slightly on Ray Verdi. He did pull a bit of a gap on the previous lap, but given that these drivers are battling for position and Verdi has got clear track in front, as down the inside goes the number 21 of Artin Odula, and what I think he's found there is that there is grip on the inside, albeit he won't be able to carry all of the speed out, but down the inside he goes as well, and if he can squeeze the 20 of Ray Verdi ever so slightly. Let's keep an eye out for the 24 of Eli Parkhouse though. I thought he was going to get the switch back, but that's allowed Oliver Reynolds to draw alongside him as they run down that hill into St John's. This is going to give Joshua Chung an opportunity to close back in as well as they battle at the front. Teddy Veselovsky's got a second and a half now nearly, as Oliver Reynolds is going to come down the inside. Oh, and contact, that's Arten Odula goes into the back of Rafe Verdi in front of him. And Arten Odula not only spins himself out, but takes Rafe Verdi with him. And Oliver Reynolds spins out of sympathy and evasive action as well. And that will allow Eli Parkhouse to move up into 6th place. In fact, it wasn't Oliver Reynolds, was it? It was there. Number 77 has dropped down into P12. There's your leader, Luca Pede. 2.8 seconds is the gap for Luca, with the 57 of Max Tetlow behind. These have been your top two throughout the day. Luca Pede will look to emulate last year's champion Felix Tandy in being the dominant force in this Might E class. And judging on current form, particularly with the two back-to-back weekends here at Rowrah, he is going to be the one to beat. Whether he can carry that form into the remaining 5 weekends of this championship, but given that he was in that sort of top-end battle last year as well, was Luca Pede, whenever he contested this Super 1 championship, I fully expect him to be challenging for top honours come the end of the season. 2 minutes to go as we follow the 25 of Teddy Veselovsky in 5th place. He was 0.4 of a second quicker than Aidan Castleman on the previous lap, but has a gap of 2 seconds, so we'll need to keep that going. Trying to have a look on who it is behind him. That looks to be the 77 of Oliver Reynolds. It is. He's had another spin as Reynolds, because he's fallen right down the order. He was involved in that incident earlier on, and whether it was another spin or whether, because he went off on the outside, there is, as you'll see hopefully in a few moments' time as we head up towards the final corner, to the right-hand side as they come up the tracks, it's a right-hand corner, but on the left of the driver there, if they do go off there, it does get quite muddy, and these karts will get stuck in that. There's not a lot of weight to get them out and not a huge amount of power either, so those wheels will just spin up. So whether Reynolds lost a full lap in that incident, or whether he's had a second one and that's dropped him all the way down the order. But the good thing with Super 1, a whole new race day tomorrow, qualifying 2 more heats and a final, will give the Leicestershire driver an opportunity to come back into this tomorrow, as he'll try and run side by side, and pace-wise, he's actually catching Teddy Veselovsky at the very least, even though he's going to be a lap down Oliver Reynolds. This is going to give him a huge confidence boost going into tomorrow. Whilst a lap down, he's catching the driver in 5th place, and this is going to give him all the confidence that he can be taking some silverware home with him tomorrow. He does need to be careful, though, obviously a lap down. Veselovsky in one of the top 6 positions, trophies for our cadet drivers down into 6th place. So Veselovsky at the moment is heading towards taking some silverware home, but we just need to be careful. We've got a driver off on the outside of that looks like, in fact, the Stuart Essers down the far end, actually, I think that is, as they go 3 wide round the outside of Astro Matthews. And there the marshal working tirelessly to try and get that kart back out and onto track. We'll pick the number up when they come round. Couldn't quite make it out. One of the joys of Mighty is the sky blue numbers with the white background. That means that unless you're zoomed in like right now, it is very difficult to pick them out. But great drive so far by the 77, albeit a lap down for Oliver Reynolds. As the time has elapsed to 0. Luca Pede will be heading down the hill back towards the start-finish line very, very shortly to commence what will be his final lap. There's the 14 of Dax Miller, currently running in 13th place. Behind is Luca Pede. He'll be your next driver through. And through pace and sheer consistency, his best lap, his last one, was 1.5 seconds faster than Max Tetlow. He's taken the gap out prior to this lap to 5 seconds, and Tetlow this time responds with being a half a second quicker, but Luca Pede has opened that gap up not only to 5 seconds, but he's now going to give himself the opportunity to navigate the lap traffic at his leisure. So up he goes towards Iredales for the final time. That's navigated successfully. Stuart Essers is going to be the challenge for him. She gets round, and by challenge I mean if he goes off he may well get stuck. Everything else down the hill, if you go off you should be able to recover with minimal time loss, as Luca Pede not only heads down the hill but heads towards the finish line. The checkered flag, what will be victory in the opening round of the season here in the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship. Luca Pede puts the marker down. Celebrating early, Luca Pede takes victory in the final here at round number 1 from Rowra. Max Tetlow again takes time out of him on the final lap. Gap down to 4.7. He'll stand on step number 2 of the podium. EJ Deera joins them. And in the remaining trophy positions, Aidan Castleman, Teddy Veselovsky, and number 21, hopefully, will wait for him to come through. He has got a 5-second gap back. There he is in the yellow helmet. Artan Odula, in his first Super 1 weekend, will be taking a trophy home. The number 21 bringing the kart home in P6. Rafe Verdi P7. Eli Parkhouse, after that early spin, will be hopeful of a trophy tomorrow. Finishes in P8. Jensen Paris in P9. And we await the remaining 3 runners that completed the race on the lead lap. It should be Archie Watkinson, all being well, who will cross the line shortly to finish in P10. There he is. Fabian Smith would have been 11th, but if it wasn't for Joshua Chung's overtake on the final lap, Chung in 11th, Smith in 12th. And then your 4 remaining drivers, Dax Miller, Oliver Reynolds, Jack Voss and Astro Matthews complete your Might E final. We remain at the younger end of the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship, and to the class that was my favourite class last year. Let's see if they can hold on to that title this year. Usually it's non-stop action from start to finish in Iame M1. So a nice big grid of Iame M1s once again here in Super 1. And, if Heat 2 is anything to go by, keep an eye out for Presley Knight in the 16. A commanding victory in that second heat for Presley Knight. Heat number 1, he went toe-to-toe with Oakley Rudman. Another driver to keep an eye out, but for completely different reasons that I will explain in a few moments' time when we get the grid up on the screen then for this Iame M1 final. So 16 of Presley Knight on pole position, Teddy Smith alongside. Row number 2 is Shay Downey and Jack Rossi Minot in the O plate. He won that here last weekend. Jed Smith in the E plate, the East of England champion, will go alongside the Slovenian driver who resides in Dubai, Mark Ristic. Vinnie Wright and Teddy Delaney, George Miller and the aforementioned Oakley Rudman. Will come back to him in a few moments' time. So field make their way out onto circuit. Now, Rudman, when he had a bit of an indiscretion in the second heat and peeled off into the pit lane early, So expect him to charge through the field. His big problem is going to be that by the time he does charge through the field, and I do expect that because he has got pace and the ability to do so, is that by the time they get there, we are going to have Presley Knight off at the front. So down the hill they come then for the first time. Another one of our standing start classes, so they do come straight out of the gate and straight to the grid. So we did have to get this one going fairly quickly. We were just dealing with a problem internally, so apologies, we just about missed the start, but don't win trophies on lap number 1, so don't worry too much. In 7 minutes and 40 seconds time plus 1 lap, we'll know, and it's already Presley Knight opening the gap up on lap number 1. Oakley Rudman didn't have the tidiest of opening laps and did drop from 10th down to 12th. Keep an eye out for him, but the hope is that he can come back for a podium for Oakley Rudman. Lap number 9 finished 9th in the championship last year and will have high hopes for this year. Presley Knight is the highest returning driver this weekend, although Logan Edwards is registered for the championship as well. He finished as vice champion last year. So moves down the inside, and those drivers that are getting overtaken down the inside into the stewardesses will find out very quickly that there is some grip on that inside. Presley Knight, as you can see, the confidence that he has, having watched the second heat, was driving over curbs and using the concrete, because it's going to have far more grip than the tarmac. It was just bouncing over the curbs, but giving him so much drive, and already 3.2 seconds is the gap. Back to Teddy Smith, Jack Rossi-Minot up into 3rd place, having started 4th, Shay Downey, Mark Ristick, and then George Miller, in front of Jed Evans, Vinnie Wright, Jules Nash and Maverick Reddick, the American driver in the number 75, who will be making the trip over for this Super 1 championship. Move down the inside into the right-hander. That looked like it could well have been George Miller in the 34, going down the inside of the 88 of Mark Ristick. Yes, it was. Ristick there in the gold livery. Miller preferring to go full stealth mode in the all-black. Behind them, Vinnie Wright under pressure from Jules Nash in the number 18. Former British touring car and world touring car race winner James Nash. His first season of Super 1 in the number 18. Speaking of dads, Reddick behind. If his dad ever gets angry and throws a spanner, move out of the way, because he used to play professional baseball, so I imagine he's got quite the arm on him. Fastest lap out at the front though, Presley Knight extending the gap and taking that out to nearly 4 seconds. Down the inside goes Jules Nash in the 18. He's making some good moves. He's up into P7 now. Goes down the inside of Jed Evans in the E-plate. There's a train of 7 that goes all the way down from George Miller in P5 to Frank Tingle. Oakley Rudman's in there as well, so he's back inside the top 10, but we've had hopes of getting through this traffic a little bit quicker. 4.5 minutes, so we're halfway into this final already. The top 4 are clear. There's a move down the inside. That's the 88 of Mark Ristick on Jules Nash, and gets that move done very nicely into Sunny Bend, and then all the way around the outside. Jed Evans is going to try and go round the outside of the 18 of Nash. Nash is on the inside. They'll run 3 wide up towards the chicane. And out onto the grass there goes the 11 of Vinnie Wright. Drops 2 wheels, and that's going to give Oakley Rudman the opportunity to pick another one off as he moves up towards the hairpin at McRae's. 65 of Frank Tingle has worked his way through. Keep an eye out for Maverick Reddick. He did drop a few places off the back, but he's now starting to tow up onto the back of this train of carts in front. Tingle looks left, Tingle looks right. Tingle will find that Hopefully Rudman has gone down the inside, and Rudman almost with a huge amount of overspeed there, nearly got past Jules Nash as well. Nash holds on, but the battling further down this train has allowed the front half of it to fragment. So it's Knight, Smith and then Minot, the top three. Downey and Miller. Miller is now clear of this train, and I think Mark Ristick and Jed Evans will be as well. I think it may not be Evans. I think it is Evans in 7th place. I thought it got shuffled back earlier, but no, it's Jules Nash, Oakley, Rudman, Frank Tingle, then your top 10. Wright, Reddick, Stanley Thurston and Teddy Delaney in front of Nicholas Ansel, Gabriel Chu, Henry Exton, and then Albert Omi. Briella Stevens, who did podium in rookie last year in Coma, has now moved into Iame for this season with Timothy Robinson, James Talbot and Omari Morrison. Presley Knight down the hill with 2 minutes and 20 on the clock. As you can see, the only driver really aggressively hitting them curbs, but really finding the benefit of it. Keeps hitting them. Won't be the only benefit. It'll be prime for losing a few teeth as well, which for race winners I hear is worth £5 a tooth. So you keep rattling them curbs, Presley. 7 seconds now. The gap at the front is 1.3 seconds clear of the pack on that previous lap. Run up to Iredale. Looks incredibly comfortable at the front. This is a sign of a really good driver, is that they don't look like they're trying. And Presley Knight looks like he's just out for a afternoon drive. The difference is he's driving off into the distance. This is your battle for second place as down the inside goes Jack Rossi Minot. Teddy Smith straight back at him and gets a lovely little switch back. And if Jack Rossi Minot can do that same move next time round and just get on the brakes mid-corner and stop Teddy Smith getting a switch back, that will be a lovely move. They'll have 2 laps to go at the end of this one. Drivers lapping in the 1:08. Knight just crossed the line with about a minute to go. So 2 to go. And Shea Downey isn't a million miles off the back of this either. This is your battle for second place, and now we're going to go. It's going to be 3 deep because Shea Downey's going to come right into this in this final lap. He's going to see where these 2 in front, and hasn't really been in the camera shot of Shea Downey, but has found his way towards the podium. Down the inside goes Minot. Will draw alongside, but Teddy Smith will get on the power earlier. Let's see whether Minot sends the move down the inside once again. He has a quick look over his shoulder. Not quite close enough this time, and in fact Teddy Smith has taken the inside line this time, but that's ran him slightly wide on exit, and that's going to give Minot a decent run down the hill towards St John's if he can draw alongside. Alongside he does, and down the inside for second place, and he gets it stopped as well. Jack Rossi Minot in the O-plate, started this race in 4th place, moves up into 2nd. Teddy Smith's coming straight back at him down into paddock. That will put him wide though, and see whether Minot can draw alongside in that run up towards the chicane. Last lap borne out. Presley Knight 9 seconds to the good down the road as well. Oh, sweeping round the outside. Teddy Smith holds on to 2nd place. So Knight, who's 10 seconds down the road, he'll already be on the back straight. There's the 17 off. That's Teddy Delaney, who was in 14th place. Looks like the engine stopped. One of the helpers out on circuits trying to get that going again. Minot's down the inside, and now he will engage full defensive mode with a look over the shoulder, but Smith's managed to fire up the booster, and down the back straight he goes. And now we're going to find all 3 of them going at it, and Jack Rossi Minot did exactly what I told him to do. Not that he can hear me, but let's put the brakes on mid-corner at the Stuart Essard. It's going to be Teddy Smith getting a little bit of help from Shea Downey down the hill. Presley Knight then will win the opening round of the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship. Back to this battle for second place. with Smith, Minot and Downey heading towards the checkered flag. It's going to be Smith in front of a very happy Jack Minot in third place, with Shay Downey, George Miller and Jed Evans in the trophy paying places. Presley Knight takes the victory by 11.3 seconds from Teddy Smith, Jack Minot, Shay Downey, George Miller and Jed Evans. Jules Nash finishes in 7th place, having started in P11. A good move up the order for Nash into P7. Vinnie Wright, Mark Ristick and Stanley Thurston, who took a while to get into that race. He was languishing down in 15th or 16th early on, but in the final few laps worked his way up to finish inside the top 10, having started P14. Nicholas Answer and Maverick Reddick, as Briella Stevens goes off on the final lap. She will be classified in 20th or 21st, whether she crosses the line before James Talbot. But she'll make her way round towards the checkered flag. So just outside the top 10 then, Nicholas Ansett, Maverick Reddick in his debut Super 1 weekend finishes in P12. Oakley Rudman didn't quite have the run that I'd have hoped that he'd had, given the pace that he'd shown throughout the heats earlier on for the driver in the number 9 machine. He'll come back tomorrow and I'm sure he'll be challenging for podium places. So we close up Iame M1. Next one out will be Coma C50. Before that, though, we'll head to an advert for our fantastic sponsors, HWE BIM Services. And we're straight into the action for our Coma C50s. The pole man has already been jumped at the start. Jace Hannon off the outside of the front row moves up into the lead. He's going to be chased down by last week's O-Plate winner, but electing to run his registered number in the 45. We've got a spin in the background. We'll pick out who they are at the end of lap number 1, because have not yet developed the ability to see through barriers. But at the front of the race, Matthew Pearson now trying to hunt down Jace Hannon. So Pearson won the O-Plate here last weekend, but electing to race his number 45, his registered race number. Robert Hanley and Jacob Haywood-White going off the second row, with Aidan Hughes and Ayrton Edward-Jones row number 3. Whatever happened early doors has really split the Coma field already. Logan Grassi looks like he was one of the drivers involved there. He is another driver running the Ayrton Senna replica helmet. The driver in the number 28, although fully justified in the Ayrton Senna helmet, because his dad is in fact Brazilian, so does have slightly tighter ties there. We'll run down the hill. He's in the middle of that sandwich of the final 3. So Hannon, Pearson, Aidan Williams with a good start, 5th up into 3rd on the opening lap. Jacob Haywood-White with Robert Hanley, Ayrton Edward-Jones and Dalton Dyke-Whitfield. Oh, a big chunk of curb there, and we've got 3 off and 1 into the barrier. That's the 47 going off of Jensen Hodgett. That will allow, at the very least, our drivers that did have the difficult opening laps to get back into the mix of things. At the front it's Hannon, got another one off there on the outside. That's your E-plate of Dalton Dyke Whitfield, who was running in 7th place. So Hannon and Pearson, your top two. Gap of nearly 2 seconds back to the rest of the field. 66 is Aidan Hughes. He's in 3rd place, coming under increasing pressure from Jacob Hayward-White. Hayward-White takes a 1/10 of a second out of the driver as the 47 is parked on the side of the track. That's Jensen Hodgetts. Jace Hannon making his way up towards McRae's, out onto the rumble strip, but uses it for a bit of grip. So Pearson with both heat victories in this C50 class today, and pole position in not only the final, of course, because of those two heat victories, but in qualifying this morning as well. But during the lunch break, found something. At the moment, there's a second to the good from Matthew Pearson. That battle's still going on for 3rd place. Aidan Hughes in the yellow machine holding off Jacob Hayward-White. Hayward-White, though, if he can find a way through, I think he's probably got enough pace to potentially pull away, but at the moment he's struggling to find a way past. But a reminder that these are our youngest drivers. They start from 5 up in Coma and in the in Mighty. So the younger end of the scale, learning their craft. Can Jacob Hayward-White find a way past? Both of them out onto the rumble strip on the outside. Hayward-White intent on getting that head down behind the steering wheel, and I can know why, because there is a lot of wind here at Rowrah today. The conditions were windy earlier, but it's getting increasingly windy here on track, and when you've only got 4 horsepower to pull you along, anything you can do to try and make that kart go a little bit faster. Ayrton Edward Jones goes slightly wide down at the Stewardesses. Looks like now is that Jacob Hayward-White has found a way past Aidan Hughes. He has. Let's see whether the premonition is correct. Can he indeed pull away from Aidan Hughes? .6 of a second is the gap, but now Hughes will have a target in front of him that he didn't previously have. Jace Hannon has increased that gap out to 2.2 seconds at the front of this race, and the fastest lap on the previous being 4/10 quicker than Matthew Pearson. Pearson's going to need to pull something out the bag fairly quickly if he wants to keep his 100% record for the day intact. Drivers now all in one camera shot. Keep an eye out for the 53 of Robert Hanley in 5th place. There he is coming through, but it's half a second quicker than Aidan Hughes on the previous lap. So there's no reason if you can keep that up. We'll keep an eye out in about 20 seconds time as they run down the hill towards Paddock Bend to see whether he is closer. The gap on the previous lap was 1.3 seconds between the two of them, and it does look a fraction tighter than that this time round. Say half a second he took out of Aidan Hughes on that previous lap. Visually at least, and confirmed there by live timing, it's another half a second this time round for Robert Hanley. of them though. Jacob Haywood-White is disappearing off into third place. Since he's got past Aidan Hughes, he's moved to a gap of 1.8 seconds, and in a lap and a half, that is very impressive. 1.3 seconds faster than this battle on the previous lap, and he looks like he's heading towards a step on the podium, all being well, in a minute and a half plus 1 lap's time. Hannon continuing to extend his lead, another half a second clear of Matthew Pearson on that previous lap as well for Jace Hannon. Hill comes down the hill. Minute on the clock. Leader crosses the line now. They're doing 1:18, so 2 laps to go in Coma C50. Hannon with a gap of 2.6 seconds, and for the first time in this race, Matthew Pearson's gone quicker than the driver in front of him. But I fear, certainly for Matthew, that the damage is done. Jace Hannon now just needs to keep the 75 running and in the right direction. This is your battle for 4th place. As out onto the rumble strip goes Aidan Hughes. Robert Hanley, who was taking chunks out of Hughes earlier on, has taken another half a second out and will be right behind the number 66 as they come out of Iredales and run down that back straight towards the Stuart S's. Not quite as close as I thought he was going to be. Camera in that crossover phase did make it look like they were a lot closer together. Time down to 0. Hannon making his way down the hill and round Paddock Bend then for what will be the penultimate time. Next time he comes round there, he'll have every right to have one hand off the steering wheel in celebration as this battle for 4th rages on between Aidan Hughes and Robert Hanley. Hanley with one final lap to try and move himself up into 4th place. At the moment he'll still be taking a trophy home. Will he be taking one that's slightly bigger? Top 6 looks like it's set in stone, albeit the order of 4th, 5th and 6th is still to be debated. Then they've got a big gap back to Logan Grassi, who would have hoped to have been in this mix had it not been for that opening lap spin and having to come through the field. He is some 20 seconds off the back of Ayrton Edward-Jones in that number 17 machine in the full Welsh livery. In that background though, Jace Hannon is 4 corners from home, but he's going to have to navigate some traffic in front potentially, as he'll be the next cart round behind the number 27, the spinning Tristan Begley. There's your race leader. Doesn't look like he's going to have to, but Jace Hannon has not won a race all day, but he's won the one that's mattered. Jace Hannon wins the first round of the HWE BIM Services Super One Championship in Coma C50 by 2.5 seconds from Matthew Pearson. Then it should be Jacob Haywood-White. Indeed it is, coming out of that final corner. The battle for 4th still going on. It's going to go the way of Aidan Hughes though. Robert Hanley could catch but could not overtake. Hughes, Hanley and Edward-Jones completes your top 6. Jace Hannon then with a commanding victory in this C50 final from Matthew Pearson and Jacob Haywood-White. Aidan Hughes, Robert Hanley, Ayrton Edward-Jones, and there crossing the line for 7th place is Logan Grassi. Then it should be the 14 of Dalton Dyke Whitfield. He was up inside the top 6 early on until a spin dropped him down the order. 9th is River Di Giorgio Miller, with Jude Campbell crossing the line now to complete your top 10. The rest of the field, Reggie Rose, Tristan Begley, Regan Abercrombie and Jensen Hodges, who did only manage to complete a lap and a half before having to park his kart on the outside of the chicane. Next up then is an amalgamated race, albeit most of our drivers are in a Micromax. We do have a couple of Iame Water Swifts as well. Micros will go off, and for the first time today, you will see a rolling start rather than a standing start that we have in all of our all of our Bambino age classes. So, kart being recovered, as you can see, nice and light, the Bambino chassis. You can just manhandle them off track. So, should have minimal delay. We'll bring you a grid in a few moments' time then for the micros and for Iame Water Swift Restricted as well. The Turkish driver Zain Sofuoglu will start on pole position. He'll have Charlie Cale, the Heat 2 winner, alongside in the number 8. Cooper Galloway and Eleanor Shelby Passenger on row number 2. Buster Scott and Alfie Ward on row number 3. Archie Mostyn and AJ Halil row 4. Arda Bilionoff and James Hudson complete your top 10 in front of Hayden Bailey and Jensen O'Connor on row number 6. Alice Holt starts 13th. Tommy Delaney 14th in front of Jackson Foots and Sam Hope, with Daniel DeBrio and Max Stone on row number 9. Noah Brad starts in 19th. Ezra Robinson Matthews 20th. Ronnie Griffin, Arthur Rhodes and Santo Amico complete the grid. The final 2 runners are our Iame Water Swift Restricted runners. So we'll see whether they start right on the back of the micros or whether they give themselves around about 20 or 30 metres. I think I would certainly prefer the second of the 2 options, because if anybody goes off then at the first corner, you can't make your way through. So Sofuoglu on the left hand side of your screen will be your pole man in the turquoise helmet. On the right hand side, Charlie Cale in the number 8 in the fluoro yellow. Galloway behind in the white, green and blue colours of Jack's Motorsport. So, track, whilst it's been wet all day, this is considerably wetter than what it has been for qualifying and the 2 heats. So drivers will be feeling out where the grip is. So they'll need to get themselves into order. This is certainly not as it should be. Cale needs to be alongside in the number 8, and now indeed does take that position alongside. They're going to need to slow it down. This race did have a false start in heat number 2 because they were carrying too much pace, but looks like Sofuoglu has managed to get them backed up. The tail of the field just needs to decide whether they should be on the left or the right, but they are now largely into position, and we'll get a good idea shortly as to whether we're going to get this race going at the first time of asking. Looks like Sofuoglu and Cale have done a really good job of backing this field up, just being asked to slow down a little bit more. Sofuoglu gets a little bit of help to get going, and it looks like the power's down early and we are away and racing. Sofuoglu got that nudge into the rear by Cooper Galloway, who was keen to get going. And Sofuoglu will lead Cale and Galloway up towards the crazy. We've got a driver off to the right hand side. We'll pick them out at the end of the lap because they disappeared very quickly, stage right. But it's going to be Sofuoglu, and it looks like it's been a good start by the orange machine. Oh, that's come contact, and that was into the side by Cooper Galloway, but he's going to mitigate that and say that he did have some a nudge into the rear. It's the 44, I believe, who's off of AJ Halil, who started inside the top 10, but unless they can get going, will be a early retiree from this one. As I mentioned previously, Galloway was down the inside, but did have a little bit of thing. Everybody's going to try and miss the 85, and does so. That's Buster Scott, who was facing the wrong way, but other than track position, no harm done. It could have been far worse when you parked in the middle there. So Sofuoglu leads us over the line at the end of lap number 1 from Charlie Cale, Cooper Galloway, Eleanor Shelby Parsonage and Alfie Ward. Archie Mostyn, Hayden Bailey with a great start. P11 up to 7th on lap number 1 in front of James Hudson, Jensen O'Connor and Ellis Holt. Drivers struggling on the opening lap were AJ Halil and Buster Scott, but we picked those up already. So the top 4 or 5 already on a bit of a breakaway and have got a little bit of a gap between them. Sofawoglu and Kale are going to turn this into a 2-kart battle at the front. They've got 2 seconds on the second duo of Galloway and Parsonage. Then it's this train behind of Alfie Ward as round goes the 43. James Hudson out of the top 10 in P80 will fall all the way down the order, and given that the pack is quite tightly spaced together, I expect him to be around about 15th or 16th when he comes over the line this time round. Sofawoglu has opened up a little bit more of a gap as well, out to 1.1 seconds at the front. As we saw on the screen there, Hudson dropping down the order. Let's see where he stops. He stops in P14, a sixth place drop then for James Hudson. Cooper Galloway under pressure from the 39 of Eleanor Shelby Parsonage in the Tom Day Racing colours. Slightly wide goes Galloway. Parsonage can't take advantage but stays within a kart length as they run down the hill towards St John's and closes up. Paddock Bend has been the corner where we've seen a lot of overtakes, particularly as the karts get a bit bigger. Juniors and seniors have been making some big moves into that final corner. And Parsonage has got some real speed at the end of the straights here. She's got to try and convert that into an overtake, and thought about one there, was half a kart width to the inside of Cooper Galloway. A little bit too early in the race to commit to an all-out move. And to be fair to the two of them, they are pulling away from Alfie Ward in 5th place, so no point battling early and backing themselves up. As much as Ward would like to be given an opportunity to battle for the final step on the podium, he'll be there watching in that 5th place, which is a fairly lonely 5th place at the moment. Archie Mostyn and Hayden Bailey behind, unable to close in, but he wants these two to start scrapping. So Parsonage at the moment doesn't seem too interested, although having said that, does introduce her nose cone into the rear bumper slightly of Cooper Galloway, but there's certainly the pace there for Eleanor Shelby Parsonage to make the way through. And behind is this train all the way down. That's Jensen O'Connor in the 26, who's currently in 9th place, is leading this train of karts. The 182 is an Iame Water Swift runner. That's Arthur Rhodes, and he's coming all the way through this order in that Iame Water Swift. And overall, he's moved himself now up into 9th place, which is a very creditable effort for the driver that started on the final row. All round goes the 86, Aidan Bailey, and then he's going to struggle there. He should have gone right, and he's turned left, and he's got himself stuck because he's got nowhere to go. Not like Kimi Räikkönen that time at Santa Lagos, where he went down the escape road and found that it wasn't an escape road, it was an escape dead end. Eleanor Shelby Parsonage goes down the inside of Cooper Galloway into the first chicane, and we have a change in the podium places, albeit it could be briefly. Galloway back down the inside, Parsonage sees him coming and moves to one side. Cooper Galloway came down the inside, and Parsonage didn't need to defend that one too robustly, because right behind them now is the 97 of Alfie Ward, who's going to come right back into this one. Another driver racing with Tom Day Racing, but not in the Tom Day Racing livery. He's decided to stick with the kart's roots. He's Still got the Tony Kart livery on, of course. No overtaking up that far end at the Stuart S's, because we've got that stationary kart of Hayden Bailey still on the inside. If you're wondering why the kart's still stationary, it's because the primary concern is to get the driver safely out of the way. The kart comes second. Karts can be replaced, drivers can't. So Parsonage now, this is where Galloway got through on the previous lap, and again they appear to be working largely together to try and move away from Alfie Ward. When they battle together, Ward can close in. When they work together, they can't. Arthur Rhodes up into 7th place from the back in that Iame Water Swift restricted machine. He's only a second and a half off the back of Archie Mostyn. And then won't be a million miles away off this battle, actually, that we've got on for the overall podium. I think he'll run out of time to do the heroic 22nd to the podium overall, but he's not going to be a million miles away, and there he is making the move down the inside of Archie Mostyn for 6th overall on track. What a run from Arthur Rhodes. In fact, may well close up. Sofawoglu off at the front, 3.1 seconds, and looking at those in the live chat, it is keeping the Turkish contingent very, very happy. Thank you for joining us. You can join us all day tomorrow as well for a full day's racing. Down the inside, that's like the 33. Tommy Delaney making moves, but at the same time, it does look like his nose is flapping up and down ever so slightly. And if you're wondering why that might be, if you're new to karting or just new to Super 1, is that once we get into our cadet size classes, our drivers run a front fairing and wide and off, and contact with the wall goes the 33 of Tommy Delaney on the right hand side. It would appear that even though he was inside the top 10, that front fairing's not going to cause him too much issue towards the end. So what happens is, if you make too much contact on the front end of your kart, or if you go off, for example, the nose pushes in slightly and will wobble round, and that is an automatic 5-place penalty in the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship. Not 5 seconds, as is fairly standard. It is 5 places in the Super 1 Championship, so you can't take everybody out on lap 1, win by 10 seconds, and then still only claim your 5-second penalty. It's 5 places, so with risk, reward comes the risk as well. Time down to 0. Sofawoglu, wave yellow still at the far end is there. There was a stationary one out, and I think Parsonage saw it late on. Can't see a car off there though, unless the Delaney car is still off on the outside, which would have been hidden from the camera by the barrier. And Parsonage did indeed see that, and it was a very, very wise move there by Eleanor Shelby Parsonage to back out of that move upon seeing that yellow flag. Onto the final lap for Zane Sofawoglu, as wide goes Cooper Galloway onto the exit curb. Sofawoglu with a gap of 3.6 seconds from Charlie Cale. They look set in stone. Less in stone is this one between Galloway, Parsonage, and still to an extent Alfie Ward, who will be ready to pick up the pieces should this jigsaw in front of him fall apart. Galloway from Eleanor Shelby Parsonage. They've both had a go at being in 3rd place. Half a lap to go, and Parsonage is pushing the boundaries out onto the curb on the outside, trying to wrestle the number 39 machine towards the podium, and again right up to the rear of Cooper Galloway. 3 corners from home after this one, as they'll go down the hill side by side, and Parsonage looked like she was going to have track position there, but Galloway closes the door firmly on Eleanor Shelby Parsonage. It's been a perfect run though out at the front for Zane Sofawoglu, who wins round number 1 of the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship from Charlie Cale. Back to this battle for 3rd place though as we await, and it looks like Parsonage has gone all out for it. Galloway and Parsonage has taken herself out of the battle. It looks like she's gone for 3rd and has come out down in P6. Galloway from Ward and Arthur Rhodes. Parsonage will be 5th in micro though. Arthur Rhodes with a superb run all the way through from 22nd through into 5th place overall for the 182 of Arthur Rhodes. Parsonage, Holt, Mostyn Foot and Billionoff in front of Jensen O'Connor complete your top 10 in micro. Another merge grid race then here with Honda Cadet and Might E Cadet. They'll make their way out shortly. I would fully expect Honda to be at the front. And it's going to be Archie Cannon on pole position. He's been the driver to beat throughout this day. Both himself and Mason Becker have been incredibly consistent at the front of this class. Will start on the front row alongside each other. Cannon on pole position then from Mason Becker. Phoebe Shelton, the surprise package really of this season if you look back to the O-Plate last weekend and this as well. The form continuing for the 84. She'll start on the inside of the second row with Marcus Cooper alongside. Archie Loveridge will start P5. He had a very difficult heat number 1 but bounced back with a strong result in heat number 2. He'll start alongside Luke Hamill. Henry Colburn, he was the opposite. Strong heat 1, less strong heat 2. He starts alongside Ollie Knox. Reggie Duffy and George Lilly complete the top 10 in front of Benjamin Bors and Nico Veselovsky. Row 7, Jaden Bond and Archie Rutter with Freddie Williams and Aubrey Harrington-Edwards completing your Hondas. Then we're into our Mighty Cadets. Jax Wong will start alongside Daniel Stangerid with Chase Wilmington and Frank Pearson. Harry Voss and Gianluca Hudson with Emily Christie and Samuel Kenny completing your Mighties. 12 rows, 2 different classes. Try our best to keep up with all the action in this race. So we await, so you can see down the far end the digital flag still waving. That's because we are collecting Tommy Delaney's kart from the far end of the track. So whilst we recover that kart from the far end of the circuit, you can see the trolley going out there to collect as well. So Marshall just allowing the trolley to come through, and they'll walk up all the way to the far end of the circuit to retrieve that kart. So we might be 4 or 5 minutes away as another kart's being collected there of the number 44 machine. So there's your grid. Don't worry about the kart going across, they're not late. It's just that in order to get here at Super 1, tyres are removed at the end of each race. And the tyres are kept in parc ferme so that no funny business can happen with the tyres. And then they have to go and collect the tyres, put them on, and come back into the dummy grid once those tyres are fitted. So, driver in the green in the middle of the screen, that's Archie Cannon. 2 race victories so far today put him on pole position. He has Mason Becker, who won the O-Plate here last weekend, but keeps the number 52 on his Project 1 machine. So kart being recovered from the far end of the circuit. Looks like we are moments away then from Honda Cadet and Might E making their way out. Might E are on the left-hand side there. That's a Might E going across, but we do have, for the first time in 2026, Might E Super Cadet, which is an interclass. They'll be racing with Intermax class later on. Now, speaking to Mr. Might E himself, Mr. Stinson earlier on, I asked what is the difference, what makes the super in Super Cadet. Apparently a change in engine map gives them a little bit more power, and they are also running the Mojo tyre rather than the Vegas, so additional grip. They're staying with the Vega wet though, because it's a little bit more durable, they say. So they're going to stay on the Vega wet. Now, karts, whilst in the dummy grid, can have tyre pressures change. That's really the only work that can be done on a kart on the grid. And it looks like we've got Archie Cannon making last-minute changes to tyre pressure. His mechanic Gareth Plackett is checking and making some last-minute adjustments. We'll see whether that pays dividend very, very shortly. He's got back to make sure that the engine's still running. Fist pumps and a final bit of confidence for the driver behind, Phoebe Shelton. Visors down then for those that had the visor open, and Honda Cadet will be the first to make their way out onto circuit for 9 minutes plus 1 lap. Here then at Cumbria Kart Club, Rowra, the host venue of the first round of the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship. So Cannon the one to beat today, Becker the one to beat last weekend at the O-Plate. They'll share that front row. Can anybody wrestle that trophy for top spot away from these two drivers? Mighties. Jack Wong. 76, making his way around. He'll lead them off pole position. Daniel Stangarian alongside. Hungarian driver Chase Warmington, who debuted in Super 1 last year at GYG and then stayed with the championship, having enjoyed his first experience of Mighty Cadet power. Field making their way round. Drivers towards the back just need to tidy up. Power down early, and Archie Cannon will lead us over the line to commence this race as this Phoebe Shelton is squeezed to the inside by Marcus Cooper and turned round as well. Almost, she's done really well to hold on to that and will have the opportunity to battle back in the remainder of this race. But the second row of Shelton and Cooper were not going to give in as they made their way through the chicane, and Shelton then got slightly ahead and was tipped into a half spin. Did really well to hold on to that car. Mighty Cadet are underway, and Jax Wong in the all blue rain oversuit will try and sweep all the way around the outside, but the rest of the field hangs on. Now just have a look at timing. Mighty Cadet is a bit of an anomaly because the timing doesn't always pick up on them, and it was something that we had an issue with last year as well. The battery is that strong in terms of power that sometimes it overrides the transponder, so they'll be manually counted by our timekeepers. As the top two are beginning to break away. Loveridge in third place is where he started. Good start from Henry Colborne. He's up into fourth place in the number 75. Marcus Cooper, P5. Hamill, Shelton already back up into seventh place as Loveridge goes down the inside and uses that track position to defend Henry Colborne. Colborne, though, using the grass on the outside because he got a little bit of oversteer, but I think he is indeed down the inside. Indeed he is. No, yes, he is. Henry Colborne up into third place as he blocked passing down the inside of Archie Loveridge. He's going to have to work hard, though, because Cannon and Becker, despite them being Cadet drivers, are wily Cadet racers, and again Phoebe Shelton getting involved there. This time it's with the 82 of Ollie Knox, as Ollie Knox comes through from 8th place up into 7th, and it looks like she may well lose another one. No, this time was that Nico Veselovsky trying to go down the inside. Veselovsky last year was the come straight out of Mighty, the Bambino variant, and into Honda. And what I was saying about these top two is that whilst they are cadets, these two will not scrap early doors. I can absolutely assure you they're not going to go at it hammer and tongs early. They're going to work and open up a gap so that they can decide who finishes first and who finishes second, rather than invite everybody into the mix and decide whether they're going to finish 7th or 8th. Colborne's got a gap already to Archie Loveridge, but is unable, as down the inside goes Becker, and they're not really fighting, even though they've had an overtake. Cannon didn't defend it, he just slotted back in, and neither of them two will have lost any time there with that overtake from Mason Becker down the inside of Archie Cannon. They were 3/10 quicker than Henry Colborne, and I would expect them to still be faster this lap, even with that overtake, because I don't feel at any point did they lose time. We'll confirm that in a few moments as the timing screen confirms Becker going to the top, and as I expected, Henry Colborne still 2/10 behind, but at the same time is gapping Archie Loveridge. Jax Wong and Daniel Stangarian look to still be your top two in Mighty. And the cadets, as they make their way up and over the hill at the chicane. Try and pick out who it is in the background, numbers-wise, but again, white on sky blue, as they'll run side by side. Wong went wide and weaving across the track, and this time Stangarian's going to go down the inside and slides up into that top lane, and that is a superb pass by the Hungarian driver. He moves through into the lead in Mighty Cadet, and already has opened a few kart lengths back to Jax Wong. Wong's going to have to work hard to try and stay with Daniel Stangarian. Seems very quick though round Sunny Bend. Stangarian on the power and moving away. Becker and Cannon still 2/10 between them, continuing to open up that gap to Henry Colborne. So we'll pick up the rest of Mighty. That looks like it could be the 75 of Frank Pearson, with the hoe plate of Harry Voss. In fact, that's Chase Warmington in front, so Warmington in third. Harry Voss in 4th place, so like I say, the yellow numbers are in the correct order, the blue ones less so, because they do pick up sometimes. We've got a waved yellow there, have we, from that marshal's post, so if we've got somebody off on the outside, can't see anybody on the run down the hill. Indeed we have though, it's the 17 of Gianluca Hudson is off on the outside. That's one of the Mighty Cadets, and it looks like he's more beach than anything else. Harry Voss in the O plate. We cut back to the battle, which is 4th place, with Archie Loveridge, Marcus Cooper, the middle driver in the Project 1 colours, and then Luke Hamill in the Apollo colours in the number 12. This is your 3, 4, 4th place. Leader still nose to tail. Colborne comfortable in 3rd, but not closing, but pulling away from this train of 3. Some good battles all the way down the order. Changed at the front off camera as Cannon gets back past Mason Becker with 2 minutes and 40 on the clock. And again, still with that overtake, it would have been clean because they've opened the gap up further again. Loveridge looking left, looking right, trying to make sure that Cooper doesn't come down the inside of him. They will now be working their way through some traffic, and that's where they kind of have to be smart now. Loveridge off the racing line and using that to get on the brakes, but he should get on the power enough to drive round the outside of Marcus Cooper, and indeed does. But they've got some lap traffic in front of them because they will be catching some of the Mighty Cadets. One of the interesting dynamics, particularly for those that are watching from a neutral perspective, is this multi-class format where they have to come through. Loveridge looking incredibly defensive of that 4th place. Doesn't appear to have a huge amount of rear end grip at present, but he's doing enough that Cooper and Hamill can't find the way through. Down the inside goes Hamill on Cooper. Cooper's going to run all the way around the outside. They'll still be side by side largely until the middle of the straight. This is your battle for the lead with 1:15 on the clock. There'll be 2 laps to go at the end of this one. They're lapping in the 1:01, so they'll not get down the hill in the next 8 seconds. With 2 laps to go, and with some traffic in front as well, this is still very much open. Archie Cannon down from Scotland. Mason Becker up from Essex. Meeting in the middle here at Rowrah as we move on to what will be the penultimate lap, and they're going to go side by side with some lap traffic, and Mason Becker into the back of the number 23 of Emily Christie, and that should give Archie Cannon enough of a gap. Cannon went down the inside, and Mason Becker tried to help Emily Christie out of the corner and just succeeded in turning Emily Christie round. Cannon with a gap now of 4 or 5 kart lengths. In fact, that's allowed Henry Colborne, I think, to come right back into the mix. Hamill down the inside of Loveridge, who has also fallen behind Marcus Cooper as well on the previous lap. Loveridge 4th to 6th in around about half a lap. Archie Cannon, a wipe of the visor as he heads round Paddock Bend for one final lap. Board is shown, gap is out to 0.7 of a second as we battle down the order. This is for 4th place, and we've got lap traffic in front of Marcus Cooper, Luke Hamill, and again they're going to struggle there to find a way through. Hamill's going to go left. Hamill should not have gone left, as it turns out. Finds that the Mighty Cadet is in front of him. He comes out of it okay, but we have had a driver spun round in front. Archie Loveridge then back up into 5th place. He was a kart length back and was able to make the decision to go to the right hand side, the same one that Marcus Cooper did. Down the hill though, with 1 corner from home, will be your race leader. Keep an eye out as he heads towards Paddock Bend for the number 42. There he is, and Mason Becker is back in front. Archie Cannon must have made a mistake. He was 7/10, and the steering wheel takes the wrath of Archie Cannon as Mason Becker takes the checkered flag and wins round number 1. Becker from Cannon and Colborne, Cooper, Loveridge, Hamill, Shelton and Knox are your top 8. Reggie Duffy and Archie Rutter complete your top 10 as Jax Wong comes out of the final corner and timing down, but we think it's going to be Jax Wong taking the victory in our Mighty Cadet class. And unless it was unless Daniel Stangarian has come through in front, we'll have to pick that up at a later time, and do apologise to those that are supporting our drivers in the Mighty Cadet.
Sorry,
and whilst we do endeavour to keep an eye on who is leading, but as soon as we cut away and go to another battle somewhere else, it's a guessing game when you come back to it. So those in the know will know that they have won, and we'll look forward to welcoming them at the podium presentation later on today for round number 1. For those where the timing did help us out, Becker, Cannon and Colborne your top three in Honda from Cooper, Loveridge and Hamill. So, kart's heading off. We'll up the stakes once again as we head towards our junior max class, the 6th of our finals. 3 more to go, the first of which will be junior Rotax. So we'll get you a grid on the screen shortly. Both sides of the grid are junior Rotax this time. There is quite a lot of them. Get you a grid shortly as we zoom into the helmet. Additional teeth on the helmet of the second place man Elijah Hartley. Amy Peacock continues her form from last weekend. The O-plate won heat number 1, finished 3rd on track, but the 2 in front both had front fairing penalties. She's picked up the victory and then cemented that with a strong points haul in heat number 2. So Peacock and Hartley, Cozzy and McCullough, with Laurie McVeigh and Nathan Rond on row number 3. Neve Allen starts in 7th, Warwick Milam in 8th, Jude Pudderfoot and Archie Ray Watson on row number 5 in front of Aidan Young and Zach Jennings in number 22. Travis Dolby starts 13th, Sam Stockton in 14th, Ryan Wheatley and Kieran Hundle are on row 8 with Nelson Taylor and Charlie Halewood on row 9. The top 20 completed by Jensen Powers and Tyler Banks, with Jerry Duffy and Timmy Shahini, Fletcher Groves and Arena Sipovalova. Complete your junior Rotax grid. If Heat 2's anything to go by, keep an eye out on Jensen Powers. He ploughed through the field to finish inside the top 10, having started in 21st place. Let's see whether he can do more of the same. As the field head out onto the circuit for the first junior Rotax final of the 2026 season. Same as usual, 9 minutes on the clock. Field try their best on this wet surface to get as much heat as possible into the tyres. Thank you to Dave2166 who's got in touch saying enjoying the racing on SlipStream this afternoon. Happy Easter from Jules, Tom and himself, and good afternoon as well to Dirk, who's already got in touch once. Dirk 1285 saying good luck to Laurie and Nelson. So going to go with Laurie McVeigh, who will start in P5, and Nelson Taylor, who will start in P17. So Peacock and Hartley will bring them round off that front row. The pace dictated by the pole woman, Amy Peacock, in that O-plate. Peacock weaving. Trying to keep a little bit of heat, particularly in them front tyres. She'll want some bite as they run up into the chicane. Keeping it slow, keeping it slow. She chooses to accelerate now. And junior Rotax is away and racing, and Peacock manages to make a very good start up into the chicane on lap number 1 as Hartley gets squeezed out on the left-hand side. Oh, we've got 6 and 7 up onto the top of each other. In fact, the whole track is blocked in the chicane. Nobody from the final third of the grid is going to make their way through at all. The marshals are going to have to work really hard to get that one clear, and they're going to have to make a decision very shortly as they run down the hill as to whether this one's going to continue. Out into the rumble strip goes one driver from the mid-pack. Peacock, though, continues to lead. It looks like it's Laurie McVeigh. Red flag, is that out in the background? Yes, it is. Track is blocked, and the race will be neutralised. Red flag, and we'll have a complete restart, because we haven't completed more than 2 laps. So the drivers should be stopped, I think, as they head down towards Paddock Bend. That will allow us to re-grid, and for those drivers that have been unfortunate enough on that opening lap, they should be able to. So thank you for those that have stuck with us. We just had a bit of a power outage. So Dirk in the live chat put RIP stream, but it's Easter, so resurrection and all that means that the stream has been revived. We'll bite an Easter egg or something, and it happened at the right time because it happened during a red flag. At least we haven't missed any of the action. Still a few karts out at the far end. So final few karts gridding up, but it looks like we're going to be missing 1 or 2 drivers. We've got a few karts stationary still with at the far end. Numbers wise, 65 and 91. 65 is Cian Hundle for Tom Day Racing. 91 is going to be Nelson Taylor, the driver with X-Kart, who's made a long way up from Walton-on-Thames in Surrey. So it's going to be a disappointing end for Nelson, but as we mentioned, it's a 2-day meeting and he'll be straight back in with the opportunity to race tomorrow. And drivers now having the opportunity, particularly those drivers that were involved in the opening lap fracas, to reset their front fairing if they can do so themselves. Zach Jennings, it looks like he's doing exactly the same on the right hand side. The red and silver helmet. Did see his mum earlier. She bought 2 full sets of front fairing blocks from the shop here at Super One. So they'll definitely be needed because he's just gone through another one. So disappointment for 2 drivers, we say Cian Hundle and Nelson Taylor, but they'll have an opportunity to right some wrongs tomorrow. Looks like we've got a problem there for the 16 of Jensen Powers in the who will be running as a privateer but is in the MS colours largely of Jack Dex Racing on that MS kart, and it looks like he's got a bigger problem than a front fairing issue as he's working on the side of his engine to try and get his. It's under red flag, so he can do it, but at some point we're going to have to say, look, we're ready to go racing here. And whilst we don't want to see anybody retire, and that's why the staff here at Super One are going to try their hardest to get him on track, but at some point it's going to have to be a no, and we're going to have to cut this one off. And Jensen Powers, who I spoke very highly of pre-race as a driver that I felt could come through this field, and whatever was wrong has become unwrong now. All fixed for Jensen Powers, and we're going to see whether he can indeed drag that number 16 kart round towards the top 10. Just having a quick look in the live chat. Dirk's asking about the retired drivers unhurt. We believe so. We haven't seen any of the medical staff head out onto circuit, so we do believe that everybody is okay. It may well be that the karts have taken a bit of a brunt. Now, just going to clarify why the stream died, and I've been given full permission to speak about this, but apparently another member of the Alpha Live team, and by member I mean co-owner of Alpha Live, decided to try and connect remotely to one of the screens in our production suite here at Rowra, and took up all the bandwidth and basically sent the stream into a coma. But we did revive it, as we say. It is Easter, resurrection and all that. So we brought the stream back just in time for the second running of our junior Rotax final. The first one stopped, red flag, track blocked at turn number 1, and the final third of the field couldn't get through, and then the decision was made to red flag the race, which was 100% the right call, because it was very risky to allow the marshals to continue working, and we wouldn't have been 100% sure that the track would have been clear. So Amy Peacock's going to have to lead them round again. Will she mix it up? She was very slow round Paddock Bend last time, and then powered down and was clear by the start line of Elijah Hartley, who then got embroiled in his own battle, which allowed Jake Cozzy to move up comfortably then into second place. Similar as well for Laurie McVeigh, the whole inside line. And Hartley's far back now. Has he got a problem? Is he oiled up? I think he has. And we're away and racing without the driver off the out. There he is on the outside, Elijah Hartley, plug oiled up. Difficult start to the first one. No, it looks like that. No, false start actually. The timer did start going on the overhead gantry, and then we've false started it after. So it looks like that call has been made late, rather than. So it looks like it went out, and then we've gone again. So Hartley, if he can keep trying that kart, he may well be able to get it going. Certainly won't be getting it going from there. Gloves are off. Kart being dragged away, and from the front row. He's going to try, I think. He's got back in the kart. I can just see it off camera, and he's going to try and get the gloves on. If he can get it going, he can go off the back here. If he can get that kart started. Gloves are still off. If he gets it going, he's probably going to have to go bare hands, which is a brave move. Trying to get that kart going. Plug's oiled up for sure. And no. He's thrown it in. And unfortunately for Elijah Hartley, he's going to have to do the hard reset. Control Alt and Delete for tomorrow and come back. So here we go then. Outside row is everything. Everybody's moved sides now. Cozzy up into second place. So those drivers further back that might have been expected to be on the outside are now on the inside, and vice versa. We are away and racing now at the third time of asking as they run up, and all the way round the outside goes Jake Cozzy up into the lead from Amy Peacock. Can everybody get through the chicanes this time round? Yes, they do. As they head up, as wide goes Cozzy off the racing line and off the circuit as well, and that's going to give Amy Peacock an opportunity to draw alongside. Cozzy gets the power down. Peacock has to slot back into second place as all. Who's that coming in hot in the Project 1 colours? We'll keep an eye out for the number very shortly. But nonetheless, they're up into third place, and I think it could be Nathan Rond in the 67. We'll clock it when they come over, but whatever they've got, it's a bucket load of confidence on the brakes in these wet conditions in that run up towards Iredale's. But as they head down the hill, a bit of action further back as they go side by side round Sunny Bend. It's the 33 of Laurie McVeigh, who's up into that third place with a boatload of confidence. Cozzy, Peacock, McVeigh. Alex McCullough from the Isle of Man in fourth place, with Neve Allen in P5 in the 83. Nathan Ron, Jude Pudderfoot, Aidan Young, waved yellow in the background. As they're down the order, Jensen Powers has had a problem as well on that opening lap. doesn't look to have crossed the line, so he could well have a retirement there. Oh! Warwick Milam got a really good drive, to be fair to him, out of Iredale's, and then found that grass doesn't have a huge amount of grip in the wet, and it didn't have grip because it kept him going. It just dragged him onto the grass even more, unfortunately, and then he's had to get off the power. So Cozzy and Peacock, your top two, and they're pulling away from Laurie McVeigh and Alex McCullough. Falling down the order though is Niamh Allen in the 83, out of the top 5, and could well be out of the race. No, crosses the line, but down in 21st place. McVeigh, McCullough, and then everybody behind moving up a place. Nathan Rond up into P5, Pudderfoot, Young, Watson, Jennings and Milam complete your top 10. Jennings making up 2 on that lap. Milam made up some on the way in and then lost some places on the way out as he went on the grass. There he is in the number 23 machine, having found a way back past Zach Jennings in the number 22. The warning is for the 31, Fletcher Groves. He is in 15th place. So Milam and Jennings down the hill. You see, the bigger the cart, the more curb they take. They can hook the cart over them concrete rumble strips on the inside, and it just changes the direction, fires them out as Watson and Young exchange positions. Watson up into 7th, same with Milam and Jennings behind, but we've already picked that one up. This is your battle for 7th. Everybody else in front appears to be clear and pulling away, albeit in battles with each other. Down the inside goes Warwick Milam on Aidan Young. Solid move there by Milam, and then moves across to the inside. Certainly got some pace as Warwick Milam. I think he might go all the way through to the front of this one with Archie Ray Watson. Has a bit of gap then to Jude Pudderfoot, nearly 2 seconds to get up to driver of the 14. The Saudi Kart World Champion, he won in Campelos in 2025, and also the X-Kart Scholarship winner. As Aidan Young's getting a little bit roughed up, but there's a contact warning for Zach Jennings as he finds his way past the aforementioned Young. Behind them we've got Sam Stockton and Tyler Banks, 11th and 12th. Young back down the inside. Oh, and that curve there, we've got stationary car almost on the inside there, just going very, very slowly. We'll pick out a number, but that car is still on the circuit, and it's not in an easy place for marshals to recover either. Moving through, and there it is, getting back up to speed. It looks like that could well be, I think that could be Tyler Banks in the number 39 machine. We'll confirm at the end of the lap, but I think it could well be. Archie Ray Watson drops down in the 95. It could have been Watson, in fact, in that Fernando Alonso inspired helmet. All of a sudden, Aidan Young appears to have found some grip. Oh, side swipe by Zach Jennings. So they come back up, and then Young runs out of track on the outside, and then Jennings has collected on the exit of Iredale's. Not entirely sure whether he was in a half spin when he got collected there. We'll maybe have another look at that one towards the end of this race, but there's certainly some contact as lines crossed over. Certainly don't feel there was any malice in that, but that's wet weather driving for you. One goes down the inside and goes wide, one's wide and then back down the inside, and there's always that crossover point. 39 of Tyler Banks is the driver involved in that incident. At the front, Jake Cozzy has a gap of 2.6 seconds back to Amy Peacock in second, but she is being reeled in here by Alex McCullough, Laurie McVeigh, to the tune of 0.6 of a second on the previous lap. So Amy Peacock, the who was the pole sitter, they could well have gone high on pressures to try and get that kart away from the rest of the field early doors, hoping everybody else battles it out. She has been reeled in on the previous lap. 6/10 quicker was Alex McCullough in third place. This time round, it's Peacock who swings the pendulum back, 5/10 quicker than Alex McCullough. So Peacock has been given the hurry up, either by looking over the shoulder to see that there was a catch in, or from dad turned mechanic Darrell to let her know she needs to step the game up a little bit. There is Alex McCullough. Joins us once again from the Isle of Man, representing Joe Weaver Racing this weekend. He heads down the hill in pursuit of Amy Peacock. Laurie McVeigh in fourth place, who again was 3 to 4/10 quicker than Alex McCullough on the previous lap. They're still within touching distance, as is Nathan Rond in fourth and fifth respectively. But Jake Cozzi out at the front was 8/10 quicker than anybody else on the previous lap, or certainly faster than Peacock. McCullough was a little bit faster, and McCullough's going to go down the inside of Amy Peacock. Peacock should be on the power earlier with the switchback, and then slots straight in front of Alex McCullough to block his run up towards Iredale's. Really good driving between the two of them. 45 seconds on the clock. I think Cozzi will get round in enough time that he's going to have to do 2 more laps at the end of this one, rather than just the one. Well, Peacock gets a really good drive out of the Stewart-Esses. That curve, and now is really starting to pull away from Alex McCullough, who's going to come under pressure from Laurie McVeigh in a few moments' time. Now, I'm not sure whether McCullough's got a problem here, but is almost like a sitting duck as McVeigh goes down the inside in the Project One machine. They'll go side by side, but unable to draw across like Peacock could in the previous iteration of battle for Alex McCullough, and it looks like Laurie McVeigh has put the stamp on that one. Moves through and up into third place. So Alex McCullough, who had 3 or 4 laps of absolutely flying in that 41 machine, who's now been passed for the final trophy position here. Down the hill they go. Cozzi will be starting his final lap now, and the gap is 4.5 seconds back to Amy Peacock. And now Peacock's starting to come back into it in terms of lap time. 4/10 quicker than the man at the front, but doesn't need to. He doesn't need to push. Got a driver off on the right there. It could be Timmy Shahini, unless somebody else is off. Doesn't look like we've got waved yellows though, so happy are the marshals that that car is safely out of the way, as is the driver. We run up to the Stewart-Esses for the final time, seeing McVeigh, McCullough, Rond and Warwick Milam in the background still charging and up into 6th place. He's past Jude Pudderfoot, but out of Sunny Bend and into the right-hander is Jake Cozzi. Cozzi's going to take the victory by nearly 4 seconds, and I can tell you now why he's been easing up towards the end of that race. I'll tell you after the checkered flag. Cozzi with the victory from Peacock and Laurie McVeigh are your podium, with Alex McCullough, Nathan Rond and Warwick Milam, Jude Pudderfoot, Sam Stockton. And then that's going to be Aidan Young in the yellow for Tom Day Racing in front of Travis Dolby to complete your top 10. And then it's going to be Fletcher Groans, Charlie Halewood and Zach Jennings for P13, Jerry Duffy, Neve Allen and Archie Ray Watson, Ryan Wheatley, Ralph Foliano. On the final lap, looks like Tyler Banks has dropped all the way down the order in the 39 machine. He's had an up and down race. At times has been blisteringly fast, at other times hasn't quite had the look to go with it. Arena Sipilova finishes in P19, and it could well be that they are the final driver to see the checkered flag, with Banks, Shahini, Powers and Hartley not seeing the flag at the end. But I was saying about Jake Cozzy at the end, and the reason why I think he was easing up is that it looked like the top mounting of his radiator had come off. It was moving around towards the end of the race. Now that shouldn't be a technical, because it would still be held on by the other mounting points, but he'd have been very mindful that if he was smashing over curbs, and that's moving around on the bracket. So Jake Cozzy nurses the 69 kart home, nurses it to the top step of the podium. He'll be joined by Amy Peacock and Laurie McVeigh. 2 races to go then. It's another amalgamation. It's time for Intermax and Mighty Super Cadet. Carts to be collected. They'll go through the gate actually near the chicane, so shouldn't take too long. Not having to send carts all the way up to the stewardesses. So those carts will be recovered and are generally actually pushed through the gate and then lifted afterwards. So really quick turnaround to get the final 2 races of the day. As I say, Intermax next. We'll bring the grid up for you very shortly, as we've got an amalgamated grid, so we'll run through them both. Try as best we can to give them as equal time, but obviously if the Mighty Super Cadets are like the Mighty Cadets, we may well struggle in terms of timing. Charlie Gregg then will take the number 8 kart to pole position. He has Leyland Bradnam alongside him on the front row, TJ McLeish and Eli Romolo on row number 2. Arlo Atwood and Calvin Sherlock on row number 3. George Allison and Charlie Ford are row 4. Xavier Davidson and the Finley Forks are on row 5. Evan Dearden completes your inters. Harry Stinson, he's in the 178, but he's also on pole position for our Mighty Super Cadets. He's joined on the front row by Will Beattie, with Logan Jackson and Ansel Murray on the second row. Jacob Hutchinson and Harry Watkinson on row 3 for Super Cadet, with Brandon Hartley joined by Casey Baker. The grid completed by Zachary Parr and Oscar Dudley. 21 karts in total, 2 classes. We'll try and keep an eye out the best we can. There's your number 8 on Charlie Gregg. BFM on his kart is Ben Follen Motorsport. Alongside him on the front row is Leyland Bradnam. He's going to run as a privateer this weekend. Joins us from Harlow in Essex, having finished 3rd in the Rye House Club Championship last year. Moves into Inters for the first time, and also moves on to racing at the national level for the first time as well, as he pulls up the routes, takes himself on a tour around the country, and has taken himself to a front row start in his first outing in the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship. 40 as we make our way through in the Tony Kart colours is Arlo Atwood. George Allison behind, with the other driver electing to go with an Ayrton Senna-esque helmet. And the 83 is Eli Romolo, who surprised himself somewhat and his dad earlier on by qualifying in a superb 3rd place this morning. His dad, as they brought the kart into the scrutineering bay, the first things he said was, "I've never been in here before." So it's always nice to have a first time in scrutineering. So just waiting for final karts to be recovered and the gates to be closed. Ben Follen Motorsports had a Joe Weaver Racing sticker stuck on the side, so it's a bit like early 90s F1 where teams just merged at the end of the season. So we'll find out whether he's running with JWR or with Ben Follen at this championship, but generally more likely to be Joe Weaver Racing, actually, because they've got a couple of entries in the Super One series for this season. So just while we're on, thank you to everybody that did fill in the very helpful commentary form that was sent out. It was created by myself and then sent out by Amelia. Got plenty of people. It was a full day's job putting all of that information into my commentary sheet format, so thank you very much to everybody that did. Still plenty of time if you want to go back and complete that off the email, so that I've got a bit of information about drivers, where they're from and what their previous racing experience has been like. Have a quick look at some of our mighty super cadets. The 177 of Oscar Dudley, down from Dunfermline in Scotland, racing under the Autoserve Autosport banner this weekend. We've got two drivers in the Autoserve Autosport, but only one of them in Mighty Super Cadet. Try and remember who the second one is. It could well be Mighty Bambino, or the Bambino version of Mighty, which is just called Mighty, rather helpfully. Quick shuffle through the notes, try and find that. It is, it's Astro Matthews, the number 79 Mighty, second driver under the Autoserve Autosport banner this weekend, although whilst I did say he's from Scotland, which he is by birth, actually lives in Featherstone in York. So for Oscar Dudley, so by his own admission, fairly new to karting, but we all start somewhere. He's gone with straight into Mighty Super Cadet. We are sort of 11, 12, 13-year-old drivers in this class. A lot of experience as well, even for your drivers on the younger scale. Ansel Murray, maybe on the younger side of our age group for our Mighty Super Cadet, but comes in after a very accomplished Bambino and Cadet career that's seen him win many, many races for the Anglo-Indian driver. Going to have to back this up though if we're going to get this away and racing at the first time. We're not in any form of grid order. Luckily there's only around 10 or 11 of them, so hopefully they should be able to line up nicely. They've gone round though at a fair rate of knots. That the Mighties are still up at the Stuart S's and they've still got to form up into a grid, and what they've done here is it does mean that with these Inters, they're going to catch potentially the Mighty Super Cadet tail of the field fairly early on in the race. We're away and racing then. We know it looks like the light may well have stayed on, or that could have been the timer. They're both red, so I think it could well have been the timer. Still showing green at the top. We're away and racing then as Charlie Gregg leads them up towards McRae's for the first time, being pursued by his fellow front row driver Leyland Bradnam. Behind them it looks like TJ McLeish in the number 74 machine. As Mighty Super Cadet are away and racing as well. They've managed to make their way through trouble-free through the chicane as well. Really clean opening lap for both Intermax and for Mighty Super Cadet as we follow Super Cadet up with Harry Stinson there leading us through. And that is that Ansel Murray, is it up into second place? I think it could well be. Used to seeing him with a black carbon fibre helmet. I think he's gone for a white one now. At the front of Inter though, Charlie Gregg, 1.1 seconds to the good already at the front, in front of Leyland Bradnam and TJ McLeish. And McLeish then has got a big gap back to Arlo Atwood. So Stinson will lead us over the line from Ansel, and I'm trying to pick out who the driver is. Is that Logan Jackson potentially up into third place? Well, try best we can to pick that out, but it's going to be incredibly tough without the timing. So Charlie Gregg is working really hard to open this gap up at the front of Intermax. Trying to flatten the Raura curbs here, but that is mainly because concrete is grippier than tarmac. So he is being pursued by Leyland Bradnam. Bradnam sliding his kart round on the rear end, rotating it. Appears to have a lot of confidence, but only change inside the top 10 was Eli Romolo, who moves up into 8th place from Calvin Sherlock. Tough opening lap though for Romolo, drops down from P4. So we follow this battle hopefully there in Super Cadet. Driver in the middle is the 139 of Casey Baker, who's had, we'll say, a bit of a journey, given that he lives in Southampton. He can't live any further south, he'll be in the sea. So must be 6.5, 7 hours up here to Raura. Battle it out here in the middle of this sandwich between the 184 of Brandon Hartley and the 144 of Zachary Parr. And looked like he was going down the inside there, was Casey Baker. According to his commentary notes, manages all the setup of his car himself, which is really good. The amount of former drivers you see that become mechanics, setting himself up for a career early doors. As down the inside, that's 112 of Logan Jackson, making his way through some of the Intermax traffic. 134 is Jacob Hutchinson. I will be easily stating is my driver to watch for the season. Never met him before. Don't know where his ability level lies, but he's from Sheffield and so am I, so he's become my new favourite driver. So I'll be rooting for him all season. And given that we've got no timing, I'm going to just say that he's won already. He's won in Mighty Super Cadet by 7 laps. He's that good. That's what those Sheffielders are like. At the front of race overall, Charlie Gregg has the gap now out to 2.9 seconds to Leyland Bradnam. As George Ford and Charlie Ford and Xavier Donaldson go side by side towards the stewardesses. There's your leader in. It's not that's Logan Jackson in the 112. I still think Harry Stinson is leading in Mighty Super. This is Charlie Gregg out at the front. Overall, just under 4 minutes to go in this penultimate final of the day. Dirk 1285 asking a question: are the Mighties Super Cadets similar in pace to the Inters in the dry? I think the Inters are probably around about half a second a lap quicker in the dry, but in the wet, I think that the Mighty Super Cadets are probably around about a second a lap quicker. Now, you'll look at the timing in a minute and say, well, Charlie Gregg's half a second quicker than Harry Stinson. Well, he is, but Charlie Gregg's got clear tarmac as far as the eye can see, and Harry Stinson is having to come through the Intermax traffic that will have a completely different power range in terms of what he's got. The Mighty powertrain is very on-off. There's no sort of going up through the rev range. You're on power, and which means even more in the wet. All of the skill comes through the driver, because it's, with it being power on or power off, they have to manage the torque through their right foot, trying not to get that car spooled up. Stinson crosses the line now and moves up into 5th overall. He's one where the timing is working. There's Logan Jackson. I think he could be 2nd potentially in that class. There's the 178. He's your leader in Mighty Super Cadet. Harry Stinson there in the white suit and the turquoise and white helmet. And you can see now in the wet how much that car is pulling away. And now he's probably got a little bit of clear track in front of him. Indeed, on that last lap was 1.2, well, his fastest lap's been 1.2 seconds quicker. 1.6 seconds quicker, in fact, than Charlie Gregg. But has had to come through all of this traffic as Harry Stinson. However, just behind him, that's Ansel Murray, who's sticking with him. He's one where his transponder's not picking up in the same way. Or if it is, it's sporadic. It's so far showed that he's completed 2 laps and he's 4 down. But if Harry Stinson's putting in 1 minute deads, which he did on the previous lap, Ansel Murray's going with him. So whilst his transponder's not picking up, and when it does, it adds up the last 3 or 4 laps. So it's showing that he's doing 2.5 minute laps and the like. But Harry Stinson can't take this lightly. And then they've got the 191 of Will Beattie behind. So all within the same camera shot here. Charlie Gregg 5 seconds down the road. So whilst he has had a little bit of camera time, if he does want some more, he is going to probably have to let somebody challenge him, because if you're 6 seconds down the road, you're not going to get the camera time that you maybe have hoped for. We're probably going to stay with this one, actually, because whilst we've got no timing, visually we can see Harry Stinson, Ansel Murray in the O-plate, and Will Beattie in the 191, all within the same camera shot. Timer's going to head down to 0. Charlie Gregg will not be over the timing line before that. He's probably up at the stewardesses, given where the line is on the timing, which will give you the timing link for tomorrow if you haven't found it, or if you just Google Super One live timing, it'll take you to the results. Then you've got live timing button, so you can create effectively your own virtual pit wall, watching the live timing. You can click on your driver and it'll give you individual lap times as well, which is handy for qualifying tomorrow morning if you want to watch that. Won't be streamed, but you'll be able to pick the live timing up, and then we'll be here from heat number 1 on the Alpha Live channel for a full day of racing for round 2 of the HWE BIM Services Super One Championship tomorrow. Charlie Gregg has just commenced his final lap, as has Harry Stinson in this Mighty Super Cadet race. So he'll come into shot now. There is Stinson. So we pick up the TJ McLeish, I think, in front of him in the number 74. He's in 3rd place overall. So Stinson, Murray and Beattie have come all the way through the interfield to run effectively 4th, 5th and 6th respectively on track. Stinson the only one picking up. We'll come back to that, because down the hill, with 2 corners from home, Charlie Gregg has some lap traffic to negotiate, decides to go through but wouldn't have needed to. The gap's 7 seconds. Charlie Gregg from the Isle of Man puts his stamp on the first round. Gregg takes the victory from Leyland Bradnam in 2nd place. TJ McLeish, and it's going to be Harry Stinson who takes the victory in Mighty Super Cadet from Ansel Murray and Will Beattie. There are your 2 podiums then. Gregg, Bradnam and McLeish, with Stinson, Murray and Will Beattie. Logan Jackson showing up there in 5th. I think he finished in 4th in Mighty Super Cadet. Earlier on I mentioned about the Bambinos needing to get the head down behind the wheel to try and maximise all the slipstream that they could get because of their lack of power. And that's because of the wind. And if you want any confirmation that it's windy, watch the checkered flag man trying to watch that checkered flag. That gentleman has put a right shift in today, that's for sure. Every time he's had to wave that flag, he's almost having to wave it forwards just to get it to wave in a straight line. And he will be incredibly grateful that we are about to start our final of the first round of the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship for round number 1. Reminder that we will be back tomorrow morning for round number 2 here at the first weekend of the Super 1 Championship. In a month's time, the championship heads to GYG in North Wales for rounds 3 and 4. Similar today, the Saturday will be a SlipStream production powered by Alpha Live, and the Sunday will be a full stream from qualifying all the way through. So that's Saturday finals on the SlipStream channel. They'll be available then a week later for everybody to watch free of charge. Thank you for those that have joined us and subscribed to watch this fantastic action from the Super 1 Championship. Finals next up then, it's time for Senior Rotax. So Ronnie Smith then with 2 heat victories and pole position earlier on. Billy Edgecombe and Morgan Hudson-Brown have been your top 3 throughout the day, and that's where they start for the final. Rory Hinckley, Max Davis and Max Chown, with a few drivers stopping there. Melissa Adrian, George Cole, Charlie Goody and Josh Gora complete the top 10. Isaac Parkinson and Kieran Denyer are on row number 6. We've got 2 karts stationary. We'll find out who they are in a minute. Then it's going to be Franklin Rasma with Lucas Steele, Lewis Holt and Max Lorna Bennett. Jacob Moran and Ollie Rowley are on row number 9. Shaquille Joseph and Keir Neesticker in front of Caden Welch and Tom Nottingham. Robin Brain and Riley Mason Lewis are on row 12 in front of Lucas Olofsson and Jay Pearson. Izzy Lawton and Harry Gill with Tom Williams and Archie Doherty. Tom Taylor, Kieran Bretherton, Emma Stoner and Max Greenland completing your grid, although 2 drivers already out of the action. I get the feeling one of them could be Max Lorna Bennett, and if it is so, he's had a very tough day of things. He's the driver in the bright yellow helmet. He lost the wheel with a few laps to go in heat number 2, and he's got around about 50 metres for the final. It's been a tough day for Max Lorna Bennett. Into the tram lines we go, and the final race of the day is underway as Ronnie Smith leads us up into the chicane. It's been a great start by Morgan Hudson-Brown. He's managed to follow the inside line. Ronnie Smith up into 2nd place. Billy Edgecombe then down into 3rd. Wave yellow in the background, but that's in very, very quickly. Everybody making their way round, and further down the order, 2 and 3 wide, round McRae's, but it looks like everybody has managed to clear that corner on lap number 1. Ronnie Smith then leads us with Morgan Hudson-Brown, and Billy Edgecombe at the moment is going backwards. That's Rory Hinckley down the inside of it in the number 12 machine, the Joe Weaver racing car, up into 3rd place and onto the podium as it stands. Still plenty of this race to go though, as it's 9 minutes plus 1 lap. Field down the hill, and at the moment it's a 2-horse race between Ronnie Smith and Morgan Hudson-Brown. They're your top 2 by nearly 2 seconds. Back to Rory Hinckley, Edgecombe, Max Chow, Max Davis, George Cole, Melissa Adrian, Kieran Denyer, Isaac Parkinson complete the top 10. Could well have been Kieran Bretherton who should drive around on the opening lap. We've got 1 stationary as well there on the exit of the chicane. Drivers try and find where the limit is. Universal hand signal of let's go forward there from Caden Welch in the 95. He'll be a favourite of some of our younger drivers in his full Lightning McQueen sticker kit. Make their way down the hill. Down the inside, and again it looks like Billy Edgecombe, who's been a front runner throughout this day, is falling down the order again on this lap. He's going to be crossing the line in P7, and he's been in this battle for the podium all day. It's been Smith, Edgecombe, Hudson-Brown in that order, and there's going to be a changing of the guard inside the top 3 as Rory Hinckley moves into third place. Edgecombe down in 7th. He's been overtaken on that last lap by Max Chown, who, along with Max Davis, run seeded numbers from last year, 5 and 9. Same for Morgan Hudson-Brown, Billy Edgecombe, Kieran Denyer, all of your drivers running numbers. Exactly. Change for the lead. Morgan Hudson-Brown with a very robust overtake on Ronnie Smith. Down the hill, Morgan Hudson-Brown gave Smith the opportunity to back out. Smith didn't fancy it. 6 minutes still to go. As I was saying, drivers running the numbers 1 through to 10 here in Super 1 are seeded in all of our classes. They're reserved for drivers in last year's finishing positions. And Morgan Hudson-Brown's got some drive out of McRae's. And Ronnie Smith, unbeaten so far today, is going to have to work incredibly hard. Now, Morgan Hudson-Brown, the highest returning driver in this class today. Lucas Blanchford, last year's champion, registered but not here. Jarek Metters finished in 2nd place, but will keep his normal number of 53, but also not signed on for the opening round of the Super 1 Championship. So Morgan Hudson-Brown, your returnee. Isaac Parkinson there trying to find a way past Kieran Denyer for 8th place. Bright yellow and black colours. Oh, contact between the two of them. Parkinson went down the inside. Denyer didn't know that he was there. And Denyer was more than far enough round that corner to feel aggrieved. As returning onto the track there, is that Melissa Adrian off 7th place? It is. Melissa Adrian round from 7th place and was far enough back behind George Cole that I feel that that was self-inflicted. And she falls back behind Lewis Holt, who's had an incredibly tough day himself. Did not really set a time in qualifying. The plug oiled up in qualifying. He's had to come through from the back of the grid in both of his heats to start this one in P15. He's now up inside the top 10 and will be comfortably inside the top 10 this time round as Melissa Adrian continues to feel the wounds of that spin and falls down to P10 behind Josh Gora. Lewis Holt up from 8th, or up into 8th from P15. And Morgan Hudson-Brown is still under pressure from Ronnie Smith. Hasn't been able to pull away. And to be fair, Rory Hinckley is closing back into this one as well. He's only 1.7 seconds behind, or 1.4, 1.7 off the leader, 1.4 off Ronnie Smith. And isn't really being dropped either. Max Chown and Max Davis are fast. Chown with the fastest lap on lap number 3. This will be the end of lap number 6. Probably 4 more at least to go. Maybe 5 depending on how things pan out. 57 seconds-ish the lap time. So I think could have 5 laps here. They'll get round to start lap 4 since I spoke. And then they'll have 1 more at the end of that. So plenty of time. And Ronnie Smith still looks like he's got some pace here for Morgan Hudson-Brown. Hudson-Brown, they've gone a little bit higher on pressure to get that early race pace. Them tyres will be starting to fall away now. And Ronnie Smith will be coming back into this. Battle for 3rd though has seen Max Chown close right up onto the back of Rory Hinckley as half move by Ronnie Smith is well scouted, but then it's down the inside. Oversteer for Morgan Hudson-Brown, and Ronnie Smith parks the 96 machine in front of Morgan Hudson-Brown. Keep an eye out on the 3 behind. We'll track them as we go, but don't really want to come away from that lead battle too much, but we'll stay with unless Ronnie Smith begins to start pulling away comfortably. But Max Chown and Max Davis have both caught up to Rory Hinckley. They were a little bit closer, in fact, on the previous lap, but Looks like they've gone for a sort of a half move and that's backed themselves out of it ever so slightly. They were 3/10 away actually when they crossed the line. Oh! Hudson Brown down the inside. You don't really see a lot of moves down the inside there into St. John's. Side pod to side pod. In the grand scheme of things, no harm done. That could have been far worse for them both, for sure. And not something that Ronnie Smith would have really been expecting. And that's what Morgan Hudson Brown was hoping for. Send it down the inside. Surprise attack. Attack it was. The surprise was that Ronnie Smith was still parked there. Waved yellow, no overtaking. Down at McRae's, we've got a kart stationary on the outside. We'll try and pick out who that is in a few minutes' time. It looks like it's one of the Tom Day Racing karts. They'll fall down the order. We'll pick them up at the end of this lap because they'll be shown as a lap down. And now Ronnie Smith does have a bit more of a gap this time. Oh, we've had 3 or 4 come together. One of them's the Attack Motorsport kart on the right-hand side. And it's almost like from a standing start. And Shaquille Joseph is the one that comes out at the front. That's Lucas Steele, I think, in the 27. Yes, it is. As the 17 of Robin Brain goes onto the grass. Plenty of action in the mid-pack, and we're going to try and focus on that for a little while, but we have still got the two battles, not only for the top 2, but also for that final step of the podium between Hinckley, Chown and Davis to stay with as Ronnie Smith and Morgan Hudson Brown use the curb to help rotate their karts. Radiator flap adjustment ever so slightly from Ronnie Smith suggests that engine is running a little bit hotter than he was hoping for in these wet weather conditions. You don't really want to open the flap too much in the wet. So if you're getting loads of water then going against the radiator, not only is it pulling air in, but it's pulling that water in as well. So the engine might be running hot, but that may well slow it down slightly. And Morgan Hudson Brown is right up onto the back of Ronnie Smith once again. Final lap board out, 1 to go in the final of the day here in the Super One Championship. Ronnie Smith versus Morgan Hudson Brown. Up towards McRae's, hard on the brakes. And Smith's got a really good drive out that he's not really going to need to defend, but the kart's parked anyway because he likes to use that curb on the inside, and Hudson Brown then returns it because he's got a really good drive out of Iredale's as they go up towards the Stuart S's. Ronnie Smith on the inside gets that kart parked incredibly well. Hudson Brown, though, is going to get the run down the hill. Is it going to be another repeat as they go down towards St. John's? Tapping away at the rear bumper of Ronnie Smith. Smith, though, holds firm, gets the brake nailed on. Up towards Paddock Bend for the final time. Hudson Brown's going to go wide and hope for the switchback. Smith sees it coming, taps the brake mid-corner, gets the drive, celebrates and takes victory at round number 1 of the HWE BIM Services Super One Championship from Morgan Hudson Brown and Rory Hinckley. There's your podium. Max Chown, Max Davis, George Cole, your top 6. And Lewis Holt with a super drive from qualifying at the back this morning to having to come through to start the final P15. He ends the day in P7. Kieran Denyer, Josh Gora, Isaac Parkinson complete your top 10 in senior Rotax. Melissa Adrian, after that spin mid-race, she finishes P11. Charlie Goody finishes in P12. Tom Nottingham, Ollie Rowley with Caden Welch in front of Kieran Eastick, Lucas Steele, Jacob Barran and Shaquille Joseph. Robin Brain finishes P20. Harry Gill, Tom Williams and Lucas Olofsson. Billy Edgecombe, having started in 2nd place, ends the day in disappointment in 24th in front of Izzy Lawton. Max Greenland, Jay Pearson, Riley Mason-Lewis with Archie Doherty, Kieran Bretherton, Tom Nottingham and Franklin Osama, who retired on lap number 1. So that brings a close to a fantastic opening day of the HWE BIM Services Super One Championship. We'll be back tomorrow morning on the Alpha Live channel for round number 2 of the Super One Championship. Remember, when we go to GYG, the same will be happening. It'll be finals on the Saturday, which will be a SlipStream powered by Alpha Live production. which you can watch by becoming a member of the SlipStream channel on Alpha Live. These races will go live once again in a week's time, and then all of the finals from the Sunday of the HW BIM Services Super 1 Championship will be live as expected, and the same as last season on the Alpha Live channel. For those that have joined us today, thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow. For those of you that are watching in a week's time, thank you very much for joining us in a week's time. If you do want to watch this live, or you do know someone that does want to, do become a SlipStream member, and then you can watch all of the action from the Saturdays as well. Until then, have a lovely evening, and we'll welcome you back tomorrow for round number 2 of the HWE BIM Services Super 1 Championship on Alpha Live.